King Kong Ortiz prepares for Andy Ruiz. Bronze Bomber stops by to show support. Let's talk.
Push the weight enough flex. The livest one in the section. Fit the runner, boy, you nigga, no question. You ain't run a motherfucker high stepping. Hey, you never had a big enough weapon. Motherfucker never learned your lesson. I'm a 88 pack nigga. I'm a 88 pack nigga. I mean, day walker, drink blood, trains out, full moon, motherfucker change like a hoe. I'm just a nigga from the hood trying to stack a little cheddar for the money.
Drew Titan, Bronze on deck. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. Boxing scene link will be in the description. You got photos up here. Luis Ortiz putting in that work for Andy Ruiz for their pay-per-view showdown. Got a big old picture of King Kong and Deontay here. I like to see things like this. Let's read what's going on in this article. It says top heavyweight contender Luis King Kong Ortiz held a media workout in Las Vegas on Thursday as he nears his WBC heavyweight title eliminator against former unified champion Andy the Destroyer Ruiz Jr. Another fighter I really do like. I really like Andy. This is taking place September 4th, Labor Day weekend. Action headlining Fox Sports PBC pay-per-view from Crypto.com Arena in LA. Man, it's going to be turned out there, man. It's going to be turned. Also featured at Thursday's workout was unbeaten super bantamweight contender Ruiz. Am I saying his name right? Alim. As he nears his showdown against Mike Plania, which highlights PBC action on FS1 and Fox Deportes ahead of the pay-per-view event. So they got a lot of pictures here of King Kong hitting pads. They talk about the tickets, where they're going to be available at. The workout also included an interview with former WBC heavyweight champion Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, who is currently training in Las Vegas for his Fox Sports pay-per-view event, PBC event against Robert the Nordic Nightmare Helenius on Saturday, October 15th, and offered his take on Ruiz versus Ortiz clash. I like Robert. He's a very soft-spoken, well-mannered guy. But this is war, and I'm Team Bomb Squad. So he gave his opinion. They got a lot of great footage of here of King Kong hitting the pads. He's growing his hair out. Everyone keeps calling him old, man, but this guy's dangerous. I always said that, I think King Kong, there's a few guys that are fighting in the wrong era. This is just my opinion. He's fighting in the wrong era. I think that, King Kong seems like one of those fighters that, in my opinion, should be running around in the 80s. I could see him fighting a Trevor Berbick. I could see him fighting a Mike Tyson. I could see him fighting, Larry Holmes, Razor Ruddock, Lennox Lewis. Can you imagine what would have been like even in the 90s? I say Lennox Lewis, the 90s, Can you imagine what would a fight look like between King Kong and like a guy like Ike Ibeabuchi? Tyrell Biggs. This guy's a throwback fighter, and I think he'd have been more active in the 80s because there was nowhere to go. Even in the 90s, there was nowhere to go. You know what I mean? And I like King Kong Ortiz, man. I like Ortiz. I think he got a raw deal. Sure, he popped dirty, but, some people can forgive Canelo. So I forgive Ortiz, He's a good dude outside of that mishap. And then there was the mishap. We forgot to put down his blood pressure medication. I know what that is, to have hypertension. I'm in shape, but I just got hypertension. It is what it is. I take a pill a day. How he forgot to put it down, I don't know. But that man standing right there on the left still gave him an opportunity. And this is business, man. They both have something in common. This is what I call these guys are brothers in spirit. They have something in common. Both of them had sick children. They had sick daughters. And Deontay, nobody else would fight King Kong, And he gave him that opportunity. He gave him two opportunities. And if it came down to it, he'd give him a third, man. This is business, man. These guys don't have any animosity towards each other. It's business. If you, in case you guys forgot, Deontay Wilder, Ortiz was never his responsibility. You remember Eddie Hearn signed this guy Ortiz and shelved him because he was in line to fight Anthony Joshua, and that fight wasn't happening. I repeat, the fight was not happening. So he got the hell out of Dodge. This guy is a 6'5", 240-pound southpaw, man. Who wanted to deal with that? Who wanted to deal with that? Deontay did it once, and it almost ain't worked out for him. People say, oh, well, they cheated for Deontay. Well, he said, I'll run it back. And everybody, myself included, was like, yo, wait, hold on. You ain't got to do that, man. You ain't got to do that. I ain't going to be mad if you don't do it. Evander Holyfield was like, why is he doing this again? Jeez Louise, why is he doing this again? But he did it again. And you know how it goes. We know how it ended. But, there's no hate towards Ortiz. Because this guy's a legitimate threat, As in regards to Andy Ruiz, man, I like Andy Ruiz also, man. Andy Ruiz, hopefully he's more disciplined, I know the man's overweight. Well, let me not say that. It's heavyweight. There's no overweight at heavyweight. But there's a difference between fighting weight and just being overweight. He really didn't train for the AJ sequel. He got in the Reynoso gym and cut a lot of weight to the point where it was looking kind of, suspect, but, whatever. And he got the weight down, got down to a decent fighting size, and fought Cristobal Arreola. And that's another opponent that Deontay Wilder fought. But he was surprised, Arreola looked really good in that fight. He dropped Andy, but Andy did enough to rally back, and he was on the good side of that, But how does Andy fare up against King Kong? He has a chance. I think Charles Martin looked really well against King Kong. Charles Martin's a big guy. Charles Martin is about 6'4", 6'5"? And Charles Martin could box, man. And he had really good moments in that fight until the equalizer. Andy is good in his own right, but he don't have the same physical tools that Charles Martin has. He's going to have to close the distance. Now, the problem here is that, I don't know how many southpaws that Andy has fought. And even if he's fought some southpaws, y'all going to have to let me know. I didn't research it. But even if he's fought southpaws, I don't know if they were on the same level as King Kong Ortiz. Now, he's going to have to punch to get in, close the distance, and Andy has really sharp punches on the inside. So Andy has a chance, and plus, you got to factor in the age. Everyone says, we don't know how old Ortiz is. Look, I'm going by what's on record. You don't know how old any of these Cubans are. Okay, so let's not assume the worst. So let's not assume that he's 50. He's 40-plus years old, whatever. I'm older than him. And I still jump rope and everything else. Am I in fighting shape? I could be, but I'm not going to press my luck. I'm not a pro. But with that being said, Andy's going to have to jab to get in and bang the body, work those hooks on the inside. And if age is a factor, expose it. If age is a factor, expose it. So Andy has a chance. But King Kong could box. He's light on his feet when need be. He's going to pump that jab from the southpaw position. He has a high ring IQ. So I'm going to say 60-40, leaning towards King Kong. But, no one saw Charles Martin knocking Ortiz down in, what was that, the first round? No one saw that coming. You know what I mean? But, look, 60-40, I'm leaning towards Ortiz. But, Andy's tough, man. I like both of these guys. I'm not rooting for one any more than the other. I'm just saying, if people are going to, say what are the odds, I say 60-40 King Kong. But, it's boxing. Anything can happen. You've seen some weirder things. Like Andy versus AJ. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Bronx on deck.
Move!